All right, give me a minute. Open sesame. Easy peasy.
Done beat.
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an awesome day today. Bitcoin having an interesting sell-off overnight, only about 3%. However, a lot of people are saying this was directly affiliated with the news that OKEx has suspended withdrawals and the founder is currently being questioned by the local authorities. So that did have something potentially to do with it. Now, keep in mind, we haven't exactly seen stocks doing that great. Talking about Bitcoin related to stocks, it has been doing its own thing lately. We did have a nice bounce back. However, it currently is trying to push back down again. So I do want to talk about the Bitcoin price short term. Of course, it is the weekend. Things could get a little bit crazy, but what we need to discuss is actually the macro factors right now currently that are setting Bitcoin up for an explosive move, potentially 15 to 20x within the next 15 months. Yes, you heard that right. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to show you some proof today about more institutional accumulation and the fact that the SEC is coming out or potentially coming out with a new law that wouldn't require these companies to disclose certain holdings under a certain amount. Which really, we have to admit, some of the bullish excitement comes from learning about our favorite companies investing in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So having a look at the current demand versus supply, things are going to get interesting. So I want to discuss that. I also want to talk about two major upgrades coming to the Bitcoin network, as well as a big question, which is, when should I buy altcoins? When is the next alt season? Well, one trader who actually turned $2,000 into $100,000 recently says now might potentially be that time to start loading up again on altcoins. So that's essentially what we're going to talk about today. If that sounds good to you, you know what to do. And also, major shout out for all of the support. You guys rock. Once again, thank you for joining the AMA I did last week. Also, you guys have officially pushed me to the #1 influencer, although I hate that term influencer, but the #1 over on Crypto Atlas. So thank you again for all your support. As you can see, this is basically a place where you can, it's actually like a little social network crypto community. It is in the early stages, but I have all of my favorite products, things that I use, different sources. So if you guys are interested in what I use, this is a great place to go. So definitely sign up for Crypto Atlas. And if you do have friends and family that are looking to get into the space, it's a good opportunity for you to basically be like, hey, go check out this website. This is my favorite wallet. This is where I buy. This is how I get my information. And it's like a one-stop shop. And they're always putting all these new products and stuff up. It's really awesome. Also, just because you guys have been supporting, I'll tell you what, whoever is the 500th follower, okay, so I got about 80 more to go, I will give away another ledger. Because you guys know, we got ledgers, we got ledgers. I think the CryptoZombie community is single-handedly keeping Ledger in business. But so that is that, guys, if you want to check out cryptoatlas.io. But let's hop into the charts. Now, we have had a little bit of a pullback, potentially based on the news, which I will go over in a little bit. We'll talk about that. But you can see that we are still in this bullish accumulation zone, potentially. I think as long as we're in this blue box territory, as long as we stay above sort of $11,000, I'm okay with this. It's fine. It's just an opportunity to accumulate. Having a look over here, you will notice, though, that we are still trending in this downwards trend. Now, right here, we had a little bit of a breakout, and then this little area was where we had the news. We came all the way down here, but look at where we touched. We touched the absolute bottom, right? We hung around, had a little bit of support around the heart line, and currently we are being rejected at the top again. So really, if you actually just have a look at this, Bitcoin is, for the most part, still just sort of hanging around in this channel, right? Here was a little bit of a bullish breakout. Here was a little bit of a bear trap, but ultimately we still are trending downward. So we still could be looking for that ultimate support right here, and that, once again, is around the low $11,000 level. Having a look right here, though, everything on the weekly is still looking bullish. We are having a little bit of rejection here, very critical level around 11,005, but as long as we maintain this uptrend, which has been multiple support yesterday, a lot of people they enjoyed my count from Sesame impression. But yeah, so we've been trending here for a lot of weeks. Let's just say that. So until we break this trend, I have nothing to worry about. Short-term pullbacks are for buying, are for longing, not financial advice, but nothing really looking bad on the charts right here. But let's talk about alt season. Everyone's like, hey, what's going on with the altcoins? We had altcoins 10xing, 20xing, and now they're not doing anything. In fact, some of the altcoins have lost 80%, 90% of their value. Is alt season over? Well, the first wave I do believe was, but could there be a wave two? Well, there was a Bitcoin trader that recently came out. He goes by the name Salsa Tequila. He's pseudo-anonymous, right? And he turned $2,000 into $100,000. He's been getting a lot of, notoriety on Twitter about this. And he says that he's using this month to gradually increase his altcoin portfolio and plans to have 15% of his Bitcoin stash converted into alts by the end of this month. He says no FOMO needed. Smart bidding is the aim for now. I said it in 2019. Couple months past the halving, I accumulate alts, big trigger in motion. He also talks about a potential move for our good old buddy Dogecoin. I'm not going to tell you to buy it, but could be. Doge likes to have these crazy pumps, as he points out. But what he does say, all jokes aside about the Doge, if we get a real crypto bull run, you don't need much to make much, especially with alt bubbles. The compound effect on them really goes parabolic against Bitcoin, which also goes parabolic, which makes insane returns. You have Bitcoin pumping 5%, you have altcoins pumping 15%, compound that on top of each other. You're making dollar gains, you're making altcoin gains, everyone's making money. It's crazy, it's a bubble. We'll be there eventually. We're not there yet. He says, in my opinion, 13,000 is the most important Bitcoin macro level. Rejected 2018 pullback to 3K. Rejected 2019 before the flash crash again back to 3K. Tested once in 2020 since price discovery. Push and hold through for a while. Not just a fence would make me believe in a new all-time high. And just having a look right here, now, this is going back all the way just to the beginning of March of this year. You notice that altcoins have been trending. This is the total market cap for altcoins, by the way, compared to Bitcoin. And you can see right here, every time it touches the bottom, it bounces, it bounces, it bounces. Now, right here was the crazy DeFi boom where we sort of got off the means, right? We got really far off this level. And now you see, we've actually started to retrace back. So you can see the closer we get down to this level, the better it is potentially for buying altcoins. So that's one thing. Now, could the altcoin party get rained on again by Bitcoin? Well, let's talk about that, because having a look at Bitcoin dominance right here, Bitcoin dominance is also low around its trending level. Now, dominance is a percentage, whereas the altcoin market cap is actually in dollars. So these are a little bit different. You have to, take them with a grain of salt. But if Bitcoin does start spiking up towards the top here and we get back up to around a 65% Bitcoin dominance, you still could see some of that blood get sucked from the altcoins and sort of, put into Bitcoin short term. So do keep your eyes on that. And by the way, guys, just a friendly reminder, TradingView has integrated Uniswap. Pretty amazing. You can now chart like literally almost every altcoin there is on Ethereum, which is amazing. And if you haven't checked out TradingView, by the way, it is totally free. It's what I use for, all my charts and stuff. You can get all these cool things like Bitcoin dominance, total market cap, etc. I do have a link below if you guys want to check it out. Like I said, it's totally free to sign up. You can pay for certain services. If you want, like, for example, they do a delay for futures, like there's premium services and stuff, but that is below. If you're interested, if you want a chart, you can check that out. But let's talk about the dump and then let's talk about the positive. So if you don't care about this, simply double tap if you're on a phone, fast forward, go to the next part. But for those of you who don't know, the founder of major global cryptocurrency exchange OKEx Starzu has reportedly been questioned by the police. According to the report, the executive was investigated at least a week ago and has also been absent from work for the same time. Now, there is something a little bit fishy about this we'll get into in just a second. The news comes shortly after OKEx suspended withdrawals of crypto assets on its platform today. According to the exchange, OKEx's private key holders are cooperating with the Public Security Bureau in an ongoing investigation. So they did make a statement. Well, they didn't really make a statement. They said we are unable to disclose the nature of an ongoing investigation, but would like to assure all OKEx users that their funds are safe and that all other functions on OKEx are unaffected. So some people are saying that this is what caused the dump. Having a look at our chart, we were sort of up against the resistance of the channel. It could have been a mixture of both, right? It was time for Bitcoin to have a little pullback, and this news came out. It caused a faster 3% pullback, right? It was a quicker dump. It wasn't really a dump, but it was a quicker pullback than we had thought, right? So the one thing that I want to mention is that there is $2.2 billion in Bitcoin held on OKEx wallets currently right now that cannot be withdrawn. So that does represent a good chunk of change. However, this was sort of a little bit suspicious. So Glassnode actually pointed this out. They said prior to the suspension of cryptocurrency withdrawals from OKEx, we observed large Bitcoin outflows from the exchange. According to our data, a total of 10,000 Bitcoin, roughly $113 million, were withdrawn in 2 large batches in the past 48 hours. So what do you think? This does seem a little bit suspicious, right? Somebody knew something was coming, and the insiders were able to get their money off. I think that's a little bit unfair to the rest of us, don't you think? And, honestly, guys, this is why I do say don't keep your crypto on exchanges. Buy a hardware wallet. If you guys want right now, links below, 21% off on family packs for ledgers. If you guys are interested, you can get 3. For the whole family, you can get 21% off. So check that out. But let's talk about Bitcoin. I know I talk about Bitcoin too much. Well, it's a crypto channel. What do you expect, right? What do you guys want to talk about? The Kardashians? I don't know. They are trending today on Twitter. That's why I said that. I guess their show's coming back. Wow, that's probably the most I've ever talked about them. So anyway, getting back to Bitcoin, almost 20 major financial institutions have acquired Grayscale Bitcoin Trust's product offered by Grayscale. And guess who else bought some? You might not actually be surprised, but among those investors, we have ARK Invest, Addison Capital, Corriente. However, one of the companies belongs to, time for the conspiracies, the Rothschild banking family, the Rothschild Investment Corporation. So they're on that list. According to the article, though, they've only got about $235,000 worth of Grayscale Bitcoin, about 27 Bitcoin, not that much. So the Rothschilds are getting involved. What does this mean? Can't wait to hear the comments on that. But listen, the SEC may soon raise the threshold for the official reporting of these holdings from 100 million to a minimum of 3.5 billion. That's quite an incredible leap, if you ask me. If that happens, the list of the financial institutions who invested in Bitcoin will fade away since they won't have to disclose the amounts. Now, you might think this is a little bit not so great for Bitcoin. I mean, it doesn't really affect it, but I think it is better when they have to disclose because, having people see their favorite companies buying Bitcoin, that follow traditional stocks, I think that's sort of positive for the space, right? However, a Market Rebellion co-founder, John Nigerian, when talking to Anthony Pompliano, you may be familiar with him, shared that many big investors are concealing the fact that they hold Bitcoin. This is done to prevent a sudden price surge caused by their purchase in case they decide to expand their Bitcoin holdings. And before we get into a little more bullish fundamentals, how about this tweet from Ben Davenport? And I retweeted this. This was very interesting. So he says 84,000 Bitcoin were mined in Q3. Just Cash App, Square, and MicroStrategy account for 169% of that. Grayscale accounts for another 70%, not necessarily all new purchases. Given the lack of price movement, feels like there is a major seller in the market. When seller runs out of coins, it's moon time. It's moon time, my friends. Now, getting back to Anthony Pompliano, he says Bitcoin has every possibility to grow its market size by 15 to 20 times within the next 15 months. Can you stick it out for another year and a couple months, guys? Can you do it? Another year and a half is all we need. According to him, if you don't know, he is the founder of New York-based hedge fund Morgan Creek Digital. He said in a note to investors that they should put about 1 to 10% of their investable capital into Bitcoin. He talks about Bitcoin's bullish bias coming from the U.S. government's $3 trillion stimulus package. Because of it, the Fed's balance sheet expanded by 75% since the beginning of 2020. The bank further announced that it is targeting a 2% inflation level. 4% it hit in July alone, didn't it? The average investor fears inflation right now. Regardless of whether we actually see the inflation or not, fear has driven significant capital flows into inflation hedges like Bitcoin, gold, real estate, etc. He predicts further upside due to growing demand from institutional investors, which I think at this point, it's not a guess anymore. It's not a maybe they're coming. It's a matter of how soon until they all stampede in, right? We are seeing almost every week there's another story about another big public company getting involved in Bitcoin, right? Fidelity Investments, they are a 3.3 trillion under asset management firm, favored a 1 to 5% allocation for Bitcoin. And I just talked about Stone Ridge the other day, $10 billion asset management fund, revealing that they own 115 million worth of Bitcoin tokens. We have Paul Tudor Jones. He's a billionaire investing 2% of his portfolio. Also, many pension funds gained exposure in Bitcoin as well. He says the demand outlook is strong and it shows signs of actually accelerating into the first half of next year. He says my base case is approximately 10x, which would put Bitcoin roughly at around 100,000, and the bull case is around 250,000 per coin. But you know who thinks we're going to go even higher is former Goldman Sachs manager Raoul Pal. He is the CEO of Real Vision, and he's seeing $1 million Bitcoin. Now, this is by 2025. So he's famous for his bullish stance on Bitcoin, and he says that enormous money will flow in. He says we're going through 2 of these halving cycles by 2025, and just from what I know, from all the institutions, all the people I speak to, there is an enormous wall of money coming into this space. He says it's just that the pipes aren't there yet to allow people to do it yet, but that is coming. It's on everyone's radar, and there are a lot of smart people working on it. He also revealed that he would be looking to sell his gold and convert it into Bitcoin. And when asked why, he says when you get into the macro opportunity, when it's all happening, Bitcoin starts breaking out of these patterns that it's been forming. It's going to massively outperform gold. I'm 100% sure of it. In which case, why would I have a gold allocation? And if you're wondering if he puts his money where his mouth is, both him and Anthony Pompliano have admitted to both having 50% currently of their portfolios invested in Bitcoin alone. So yeah, that's coming straight from the horse's mouth, my friends. And speaking about the technicals, right? We talk about the fundamentals, but technically we do have some upgrades actually coming to Bitcoin. I know, right? That happens sometimes. You do know that, right? So we're talking about Schnorr and Taproots, and this is going to help transactional capabilities and also increase privacy as well. So we're hoping to get this implementation, who knows really? They're going to give dates, but it should be coming soon. It is following SegWit. SegWit was segregated witness, which did increase Bitcoin's block size. It also split the community into Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, and all the other Bitcoin spinoffs, right? So really quick, in a nutshell, not going to harp on this. I know people hate technicals, but if you want to know, Schnorr update combines multiple keys to a single key. So when a user transacts using Schnorr, this significantly reduces the data size of multi-sig payments, obviously helping the Bitcoin network to be faster. And Taproot shakes Schnorr further by introducing a new transaction output, with one advantage of even allowing users under very certain conditions to regain access to lost coins. So there you guys go. That was a nutshell. It's a lot more in depth than that, but there are some upgrades coming to Bitcoin. Now, let's talk about the altcoin everyone is discussing today, and that is the surprise release of Filecoin. Filecoin is like Dropbox, but powered by blockchains. It says users who want to store data on its network must pay for the service, not using dollars, but a new crypto asset called File. Now, I don't really know what's so groundbreaking about this, honestly. There's been a lot of cryptocurrencies doing decentralized storage, utilizing the tokens to pay for storage. Literally, this has been done before. Maybe there's something I'm missing. If you're big into Filecoin, please drop below. What am I not understanding about this project? I don't really see anything too revolutionary about it. Having a look right here, though, you will notice that the price has actually been falling. Now, it does say that it's up 76%, but keep in mind, it has a fully diluted valuation of $102 billion, which would put it at half of Bitcoin's current value had all the coins actually been out in circulation right now. You do notice there has been a massive immediate sell-off right here. Some people are saying call the SEC, whatever, I don't know, whatever about that. But Whale Panda says the File launch is going to be like the Zcash launch, or for newer people, Grin. Very small supply the first couple of hours, days. The lowest vesting period was 6 months. Price will start high, and then there will be endless dumping for years. Now, I don't know if this is true. I'm not too sure. But what I do know is that it's such a good thing that the SEC did not let US investors get in on this. I'm so glad that they protect our rights from getting burned and losing our money. Wasn't the Filecoin IEO or ICO like $1 to get in? Wasn't it like around $1? It's currently at $51. So it actually peaked right here at around $120. So the good old SEC, they wouldn't let you buy at $1, but they'll happily let you buy it at 120 once it hits exchanges and then immediately dumps 50%. Gotta love that protection for the investors. Moving on, talking about safety, actually, I do think this is an important topic, and this is why I do literally talk about ledgers every day, is because I don't want you guys getting hacked and losing your funds or getting them frozen on exchanges. Looking forward to the DeFi. How does DeFi and CeFi, centralized finance, how do these two actually work together? I mean, we're never going to go 100% decentralized. That's a fact. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. I know you want it to, but it won't. But also, who wants it 100% centralized, right? Where does that balance come into play? And that's still why I look at things like Alliance Block. They have a DeFi ecosystem that's designed as a multi-sided platform that enables members to issue, transfer, and own tokenized and or digitized assets. Now, here's the other aspect, and this is directly from the website. It is open and allows any entity to create assets and applications without the need for approvals from centralized trust authorities. Trust is something that is difficult to find. Where do you trust the internet? Do you trust these conglomerates? Do you trust these companies? Do you trust them with your passwords? Do you trust them with your information, right? It uses human and machine intelligence to harness the intelligence of groups in decision making and governance. And this also makes me think about IEOs. And now they're doing them on Uniswap as well. And we've seen a lot of them have these rug pulls. People invest and then, basically the tokens liquidity is pulled and you can't sell and you're screwed and you're stuck holding the bags. And this is another reason why I'm super bullish on Polkadot. And I know Polkadot, it's kind of just been hanging around the $4 region, goes to high threes, low fours, but every opportunity, I just bought more Polkadot this morning. Seriously. I'm not going to say every time I buy some, but people are like, why do you keep buying Polkadot? I'm like, because it's going to have that moment where everything's going to click into place. And then, in my opinion, it'll take off. But don't buy Polkadot. I'm buying it. You don't have to buy it. But anyway, PolyMech. So what does that stand for? Polkadot Liquidity Mechanism. Now, this is coming over from the guys at Kilt. Kilt is a project, I think they just finished their raise, actually. They're a fundraising mechanism for the Polkadot ecosystem. At least that's what PolyMech is. So, listen to this. This is actually going to be really, really good for the ecosystem. To help foster building out the Polkadot ecosystem, on the one hand, projects within the Pokeverse, I like that, will need significant funding due to long runways. On the other hand, holders of DOT coin already invested in the project need a mechanism to reinvest their now tradable assets into promising projects. So, PolyMech is an open source blockchain system designed to help getting liquidity into Polkadot-based projects that are not yet ready to sell transferable currencies on their own technology. It's a concept like ERC-20 smart contract mechanisms, but for issuing pre-currencies on Polkadot or Kusama, right? Kusama, told you guys about Kusama how long ago that project took off like a firework, right? Pokeverse projects to issue transferable pre-coins before going live on their mainnet. So PolyMech utilizes the Kilt protocol, issuance proof and verification of KYC AML credentials. Issuers of currencies on PolyMech have to make sure their first receivers are properly KYC'd. They can attest this to their business partners and store the validity of the credentials on the Kilt blockchain. PolyMech can determine this validity via Polkadot messaging mechanisms before an initial fund transfer is initiated. This provides a high level of security and compliance to the issuers. So this is going to be big. I'm definitely looking forward to this. And also, let's end on some fun news today. Atari. Yeah, can you believe we're talking about Atari? So, apparently, weeks before releasing its first new console in over 20 years, Atari is setting out to dominate the video game industry's crypto market with the sale of a $1 million Atari sale for Atari tokens. They're hoping that it'll be used on the platform. Tokens can initially be used for in-game purchases and for partner games. The long-anticipated Atari VCS, the company's first new console in over 20 years, slated to launch in November, will have internet connectivity allowing players to buy products using Atari tokens. Kind of feels like topsy-turvy world. Atari's coming back and they're using cryptocurrency. What is happening? That is like blast from the past meets the future of finance, right? So that is it for me. Thank you for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I do this every single day. And look at this, BitBoy's live right now. Well, how about that? Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I do this every single day. Let's have a look. Where's Bitcoin at? What's Bitcoin doing? Still just hanging out. Still just hanging out. So this is my point I'm trying to make. Yes, we could still have that major 30% dump, but you know, we had the big news that came out. Again, the bad news, the FUD about OKEx, 3% dump, gets bought back up about 1.5%, and we go sideways. That's not the way that markets respond in a bear market. We are in a bull market, my friends. No amount of bad news is doing anything. And you know, yeah, we could have a pullback, but I feel bad for anybody heavily shorting and selling their Bitcoin at these prices. But that's just my opinion. What do I know? I'm just a guy on the internet. Thank you so much. You guys rock. My name's K-Dub. This is CryptoZombie. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.